Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Saturday, May 14th, 2022. It's me, TJ, co host of the Now Mind You podcast, coming back to you with yet another review of the latest chapter of Tokyo Avengers by Ken Wakui. This time, chapter 252, titled Bring Back. Now, as usual, before we get started, please remember that there are spoilers, so if you're not there yet, do what you got to do. Come back to us. This will be up in the internet in perpetuity. As usual, I like to start with the previous chapter's last panel. Dawn. As Mikey rises, Haruki Hayashida versus Manjiro Sano is set up. Basically, Pachin versus Mikey, right? Coco is now an ally, and now facing Mikey is his former friend. Let's get into the summary. I'm gonna gloss over a little bit because I feel like, you guys read the chapter. You're not necessarily here for my whole summary, but here we go. It's time for Pachin versus Mikey on top of the shipping container. Beian, as Pachin's number one fan, gives him some words of encouragement. Some terse words are exchanged between the former friends, and the battle begins. Cut to some visually exhausted Chifuyu and Mitsuya facing an ecstatic and barely untouched Hanma. He stands in front of a downed Akun and Hakai. Cut back to Coco and Inupi versus Waka and Benkei, who apparently was not knocked out, just downed in the last chapter. Coco quits officially, and explicitly declares to Inupi that he's let his older sister go. The power of friendship. Cut back to Mikey versus Pachin, where, as expected, Pachin is on the losing end. Pachin makes one last desperate plea before succumbing to Mikey's kick. Last panels, Mikey, are you having fun now? Pachin says before he collapses. Let me get into the review. It looks like Mikey's eyes, and I got to give a shout out to Riolu95, but it looks like Mikey's eyes have reverted to being somewhat cat-like. It kind of vacillates between the two, like, so far during this whole battle. His clothes, for some reason, are giving me, I don't know, like an old school Mikey Draken aesthetic. I don't know why, but it's just, I know he's a little bit older now because of this pastime leap, but it's giving me those vibes. I get why Wakui didn't show Hanma wiping the floor with Hakai and Sendo. It's probably to show how overpowered Hanma is, but you could argue that Akun and Hakai already had their feet in the grave, right? It probably wouldn't take much to push them over the edge, in all honesty. Benkei asking Coco what he's doing is laughable. I mean, bro, what are you doing as an adult fighting some kids? Also, why did you and Waka switch sides? We still didn't get an answer for that. I have a feeling Haruchio is definitely nearby and definitely heard Coco say Kokonoi Hajime has now officially quit the Kanto Manji gang. Those consequences may be painful on top of the obvious beatdown he'll receive at the hands of Waka and Benkei, but at least he'll be at the side of his best friend Inupi. I'll wager to say that some death flags are being raised here. Continuing on, Coco seems to be confirming what I surmised in the last review in terms of his growth, right? Letting go of Akane and just accepting her death, honestly. Interesting that Inupi is feeling some doubts when during the last two chapters he was fairly fearless. I still maintain that Waka and Benkei had to have been coerced into switching sides. Some things are just not really adding up. And if they have been coerced, it opens up the potential for a last minute switcheroo, if you will. Did we expect any other outcome of Pachin versus Mikey? Not really, right? Second time we've seen that man get knocked out while standing. I mean, Pachin is a tank, right? He's known to just like kind of bulldoze through things. And it's not the first time. I remember versus Osanai, right? What was it? Mebius, right? When he took the hit for Osanai stabbing, we saw him just be that resilient. He can get knocked out standing, but he won't fall, he won't succumb. But that was not necessarily the case here. This amounted to one final plea from a man trying to reach the heart of his old friend. Pachin really is a man's man. Although there's something that we need to note here. Mikey didn't go all unsanctioned MMA event like he did on South and Takemichi back during the Battle of the Three Deities. This could be a sign that something's different in either his temperament or his mentality. Maybe he's saving his strength for that inevitable battle against Takemichi. How's that battle going with Kakucho, by the way? We'd like to know. Or maybe Pachin somehow got to him. I mean, could Mikey be so cold-blooded as to kill his own childhood friend? I don't think so. Still, Pachin could be dead, but based on the deaths we've seen in this series before, I don't find that likely. Now for my predictions and questions. We need to see what's good with Takemichi versus Kakucho. It feels like the tide is turning in the favor of Kanto, which is, that's something I've been saying since the beginning, right? Like, there would be something to balance out the initial momentum of second generation Toman. But I don't see necessarily that the dominoes have all fallen in favor of Kanto just yet, right? Like, we still have some heavy hitters in play. Sanzo walked away from an unconscious Senju. What's her current status, and where is that menace? Menace, I'm talking about Haruchio, of course, currently. Who can actually counter Hanma in this? Hanma, shout out to Baki and Yujiro. But who could actually counter Hanma in this scenario, right? Maybe angry and crying mode, right? I'm throwing it out there. Again, Takeomi, Taiju, OG Black Dragons. Y'all are going to be needed soon, if not immediately. I don't really have, once again, it's like I don't really have like major predictions this time around, but if we're going to battle hop, obviously we want to see what's going down with Hanma, Chifuyu, and Mitsuya, but I also want to see what's good with Takemichi versus Kakucho, because if there's any like one-on-one that's going on right now that's critical, mission critical, it's probably that. And I'd venture to say, this isn't even in my notes, this is me like off the top right now, I'd venture to say maybe Haruchio's on his way to deal with that, and I wouldn't be surprised if after Hanma, because let's be real, Hanma will do what Hanma does. After he mops the floor with Chifuyu and Mitsuya, he's probably going to head toward Takemichi, and I could see Kakucho being like, I'm going to handle this one-on-one, but, they don't necessarily need to shoot the fair one. It's a brawl. But, these were my thoughts. Shout out, as always, to folks on Reddit. Shout out to my YouTube subscribers. Gotta give a shout out to Guts Guy, Creepy Kitten, Riolu. Shout out to all of you who support us. And if you like what you're hearing, as always, take a look at what we have to offer on the main podcast. Follow it on all your social media, either at Now Mind You Pod or look up Now Mind You Podcast. You'll be able to find us. If you're interested in what I got to say or what I'm doing, you can follow me at Tuss4_skate. That's TUSS4_SKATE on the gram. Thank you all so much for your support, and I'll see you next time. Peace.